Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the strategic foundations of business analytics, and we're going to explore exactly how organizations transform raw, messy information into real strategic leverage. We're literally mapping out how that entire process works, breaking down the foundational concepts into clear, digestible steps. Essentially, we're going to look at how a business moves from just hoarding random metrics to fundamentally optimizing the way they operate. Okay, so let's establish our baseline right up front. Our main purpose today is to really grasp the end-to-end ecosystem of business analytics. We want to move way beyond just talking about isolated software implementations and instead understand the complete scope and value it brings to an organization. It's all about getting a handle on the macro strategy, not just the micro tactics, you know? So here is the five-step roadmap we're following today. First, the scope of analytics. Second, the importance of data. Third, unlocking powerful insights. Fourth, realizing business gains. And finally, adopting analytics solutions. Now, as you can see, this roadmap isn't just a random list. It shows how each phase is a strict dependency for the one that comes next. I mean, you absolutely can't unlock insights without structured data, and you certainly aren't going to realize any business gains without first unlocking those insights. It's a highly structured, step-by-step evolution from the ground up. All right, let's kick things off with step one, the scope of analytics. This is all about mapping the boundaries. So before a business deploys any models at all, they have to clearly define the exact scope of their analytics effort. Failing to define the scope? Well, that usually leads to what people call boiling the ocean, basically wasting massive amounts of compute power and hundreds of data engineering hours on metrics that don't actually drive any real business decisions. Whether your target is customer retention, supply chain efficiency, or dynamic financial forecasting, knowing your scope strictly focuses the effort. It literally prevents scope creep from ruining the project before it even gets off the ground. Moving right along to section 2, the importance of data, or as I like to think of it, the raw material. Let's be real, recognizing the sheer importance of data is the absolute non-negotiable foundation of this entire ecosystem. But it goes way beyond just collecting a bunch of numbers. The actual friction points that organizations face here usually involve rigorous data governance, ensuring cleanliness, and systematically breaking down those notoriously stubborn data silos between departments. The quality of any analytical output relies entirely on this upstream data engineering. Plain and simple, poor governance directly translates to a flawed strategy. To put that into perspective, think of your scope as an architectural blueprint and your data as the raw materials. Having one without the other leaves you with either an empty lot or just a giant, unusable pile of bricks. Your scope strictly dictates exactly what data needs to be engineered, and in turn, the available data limits what that scope can realistically achieve. They are totally interlocked. Next up is section 3, unlocking powerful insights. This is where we finally see analytics solutions in action. Because as you can probably guess, just gathering structured data isn't the finish line. It's really just the prerequisite for unlocking insights. This is the stage where we apply dedicated analytics solutions. We're talking things like predictive modeling, advanced clustering algorithms, and machine learning to sift through all the noise. It is a highly active process of extracting actionable intelligence from vast data sets. It's about turning static records into dynamic forecasts. So let's pause for a second. We have our boundaries drawn, our data gathered, and our insights unlocked. But that leads us directly to the million-dollar question. What does the business actually gain from all of this heavy lifting? Which brings us perfectly to section 4, realizing business gains. Let's talk about the actual return on analytics. A business realizes real gains precisely because it successfully navigated those first 3 steps to produce a tangible advantage. And we aren't just talking about vague, generic cost savings here. This means doing things like optimizing logistics routing in real time, executing dynamic pricing models to capture maximum margin, or literally predicting customer churn before it even happens. That gain is your measurable strategic advantage. It's the actual hard ROI of all that analytics infrastructure you just built. And finally, section 5, adopting analytics solutions. This is all about embedding the practice into the actual workflows. Here is the absolute truth. This entire framework concludes with literally the most unpredictable variable on the planet, human behavior. You can build the most elegant, complex, predictive model imaginable, but if the teams on the ground refuse to use the new dashboard, or if leadership just overrides the data because they have a gut feeling, the whole process fails. Driving real adoption requires rigorous change management. It means prioritizing the UX and UI of your dashboards and investing heavily in data literacy training across the entire company so these tools actually become embedded into daily workflows. Looking back at this interconnected chain from start to finish, the entire system funnels down to that final adoption phase. Brilliant strategy and incredibly powerful technology rely 100% on organizational buy-in. The final critical link in any data ecosystem is, and always will be, human execution.
Understanding the roadmap from data to value is really just the beginning. The actual transformation, that only happens in the implementation. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Is your organization truly ready to overcome human friction and drive absolute adoption? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the data, and I'll see you next time.